Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wolfpacker Show. My name is Ethan McDowell. I am here with Noah Fleischman, and we are here to talk about NC State football. That's right, folks. We made it. The offseason is done. I can practically hear the Carter Finley crowd now. Fall camp kicked off today. Practice is underway in the Close King practice facility over at NC State, and we're here to talk about it all. Noah and I were there for about, I'd say, the first hour or so of practice today. We got to watch the first 9 periods go through, and we have some takes. We have some takeaways from the event, as much as you can from the first day of fall practice. But most of all, we're just excited. We're excited for the football season. If you listen to all the preview pods, you'll know we are optimistic. We are very bullish on this Wolfpack squad. Speaking of the preview podcast, we spent this entire summer kind of setting the stage for what's to come this fall. It's all on the wolfpacker.com or on our YouTube channel, or you can check it out on any podcast platform. Just look up the Wolfpacker and we're there. We're both writers for the wolfpacker.com. That's NC State's site on the On3 network, the fastest growing college football, recruiting, basketball site out there. We have everything there to make you the most informed Wolfpack fan possible. And right now, that's all centered around the football team as we kind of launch into the fall here. It's going to be an exciting season. We're ready to talk about it all. Noah, how does it feel to be back around the Wolfpack football program?
It's great. Count down the days. Felt like, when you wake up first day of class, and you're like, it's a great school year. It's what I felt like. Went out the door, got put a nice golf shirt on, had my backpack. It literally felt like I was going on the first day of school. But it's great. Great to be back out there on the practice fields. It was really beautiful when we got there, like 8:45. By the end, very, very hot.
Yeah.
So I don't know what these guys are going to feel like when they put pads on in a weekend or in a week or so, and it's going to be a hot one out there. But overall, good to be out there. Good to see Dave Dorn and his staff and everyone else out there getting the guys going. And you know what? Wolfpack have high expectations on the outside. They say they block them out, but they've got high expectations on the inside. We'll talk about it. But they want to practice. Things will change, so I don't think we can really draw too many conclusions from what we saw today. But overall, good practice to see them go through in their shorts and t-shirts and helmets.
Yeah, we should clarify again the big disclaimer at the top of the show. This is day 1. There is so much more to come just in fall camp alone, and then of course the season. Position battles are not final. The folks who we wrote down are taking first string reps now might not be taking first string reps when they play Western Carolina next month. Like, there's just a lot still up in the air. But we did take notes on what the initial outlook of this team is, what some of those key position battles look like. If you want to know, we could go ahead and dive into those. Well, let's talk about position battles at the top of the show. You wrote a really good article on the wolfpacker.com talking about a few of these position battles earlier this week. The first one, left guard. That is, NC State returns 4 starters along its offensive line, and Zeke Correll is pretty much written in pen there as the starting center. You can write it in Sharpie, whatever you want. He's starting at center this year. The position battle to watch is probably left guard. Dave Dorn even mentioned it in his post-practice press conference. Try saying that 5 times fast, but he mentioned that left guard is one of the position battles he's really looking forward to. And when we were out there, interestingly enough, former walk-on Matt McCabe was taking reps with the starters. The former, walk-on, former defensive lineman earned a scholarship around this time last year. If you haven't seen the video of Dave Dorn announcing that he was on scholarship in the team meeting room, go check it out. It's one of the coolest things in college sports, I always thought, was a walk-on earning a scholarship. So, but yeah, Matt, he played about like 150 snaps last year, and it earned a few snaps of playing time at guard, but was mostly on special teams. Plays a critical role in like punt protection and stuff like that. Right now, he's right in the thick of it for the left guard spot. He has added like 40 pounds since he arrived in college, man. Right now he's listed at 6'6" and 302 pounds. So he is a physically imposing guard. And the staff thinks very highly of him. Dorn talked about it today, how proud he is of the offensive lineman for coming in there and earning everything he's gotten so far. And now it seems like this could be a 3-player race, at least for the left guard spot. Noah, why don't you explain the rest of the outlook? Matt McCabe aside, who else you see competing for that left guard spot?
Yeah, you talk about returning guys. Anthony Carter Jr. is returning as the starting left guard from a year ago. His first year as a starter, first time playing, every single game of the season. He obviously had off-season surgery, recovered, did not practice in the spring, was out there, today in uniform. Then outside of that, Kamen Smith, redshirt freshman, highly touted redshirt freshman. They're really excited about him.
Yeah.
He's also in that mix. He did not practice, but he was out there as well. So 3 guys in the mix. I think that's what you want. Competitive depth is a word that we're going to use. We've heard a lot. We're going to hear it a lot more in the next month. But, it's something that Dave Dorn's really interested in. And when he was asked about competitions today, left guard came up pretty quick.
Yeah.
It seems like it's at the top of his mind. There's other positions, but it's kind of the one position that they don't use multiple guys over in the same time, same field. Like, this is a position, the only of the really ones he talked about where there's one guy out there doing his job. The other ones are you can find ways to get multiple guys on the field.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But this is one I know people asked, like, will they go to rotation? Do they want to set somebody? We don't know. They could rotate it a little bit, but I'd assume they want to get it pretty solidified by the time they play Clemson week 4 and figure it out.
They were rotating offensive linemen a little bit more in the beginning of the year, and that's when I think that in general that's not an ideal situation. I think that is when the offensive line was definitely struggling a little bit more. Once they decided on their lineup, kind of later in the year, I thought the offensive line play improved exponentially down the back half of the year. So I agree that they're probably going to want to have a left guard set in stone, but it's going to be an intense competition. So keep an eye on the left guard spot in training camp. It might not be the most exciting position, folks, but it is an important one. The second position battle that, speaking of competition, let's talk about the cornerbacks. Of course, Aiden White, he's going to hold down his side of the field like he has the past couple of years. But opposite of him, it is a really intriguing battle. Of course, you have the 2 transfers. You bring in Corey Coley and Devin Marshall from Maryland and Villanova, respectively. They're going to contribute and compete, but the front runner right now it's Brandon Cisse. It's after just an incredible offseason, the sophomore cornerback has really emerged as someone that I think is going to start this fall. And Noah, you spent a lot of time around the defense. He was working with the ones and these initial drills that we got to see, right?
He was. He's obviously the leader going into fall camp for this spot. Obviously, 3 weeks of practice or so, 3 to 4 weeks of practice until we get to what matters. But overall, he's the guy that we're really excited about. He tested well. He lifted well. He ran well. He had a good spring. He played well as a freshman last year. This is his, Corey Coley came in, very experienced guy, will play no matter what happens. We'll see him on the field. But at this point, I feel like this is Brandon Cisse's job to lose. Obviously, a lot of time between now and then, but the amount of buzz that's been around him for the last 6 months is what we've heard a lot about, and they're really excited. So we'll see. He's very capable. Put on some weight, but he moves smooth.
Yeah.
Moves really smooth right now, and he looks good. So we'll see what happens. But overall, right now, I'd say he's the leader, and obviously is by starting out with the ones today.
On NC State's official roster, he's listed at 182 pounds. He's not at that weight anymore. From what I understand, he is like up around 190, maybe over 190 now. So I think he did that, and he ran a sub 4.4, or is expected to run a sub 4.440. So yeah, I think he is going to be a potential difference maker for this team. And again, like I think we've talked about this in the defensive backs pod. Like that's not a slight to Coley or Marshall. Like they're good players who are going to contribute, and they were all out there, and that looks like the 4 deep at corner right now. So we'll see how that adjusts, how it changes during fall camp. But I'd go ahead and expect to see Cisse for now running with the starters. All right, the third position battle is one where it's kind of the opposite of the left guard one, where that position battle matters a lot. The guy who wins that one's going to be playing a ton of snaps. For the second outside receiver spot, it doesn't really matter who's on the field first, not really, but we're going to talk about it anyways. The people competing for that spot. At one of the outside receiver spots, we have Noah Rogers tentatively penciled in there. The redshirt freshman is so talented, so skilled that I just have a hard time seeing him not in the starting lineup. But of course, that's not guaranteed. We could see, Dakari Collins and Wesley Grimes or Terrell Anderson out in the starting lineup. Who knows? But I think, no, we're on the same page. We both feel pretty good about Noah Rogers starting that spot. So that leaves the other three. Dakari Collins, former Clemson transfer, Wesley Grimes, former Wake Forest transfer, and true freshman Terrell Anderson. I spent a lot of the practice watching the receivers, and Dakari Collins, I thought last year in fall camp or in spring practice, he looked great because just a really fluid athlete for his size. I mean, shoot, he checks in at 6'4", 212, and looks fast to me. And that's kind of a common theme throughout the lineup there. I mean, you have Terrell Anderson, who definitely does not look like a freshman. He is physically ready to compete right now. He was physically a step ahead of high school competition. That's part of how he dominated the highest level of North Carolina high school football. And I think it's just going to continue here as he continues to develop, continues to sharpen his skill set, because I think he's someone that we've heard plenty of positive things about, and expectations are definitely high for him. And then Wesley Grimes, Wake Forest transfer, speedster, 50-50 ball guy. Someone that was I believe the first transfer commit of last cycle, and he's someone that local kid, former top 50 recruit, that there's going to be a lot of excitement about, and I think he could be a playmaker. He had a long touchdown in the spring game. All that to say, Noah, do you think anyone has the edge going into fall camp at that spot?
I think it's Dakari Collins. He's a guy who worked his way up through the depth chart the entire year. A year ago, played a lot in the last 4 games. 144 of his yards. Came in those games, he scored a touchdown as well. He's a guy that earned it a year ago, and I think he knows what it takes to earn that spot again. And I think he's got the leg up. But unlike left guard, as we said, all three of the guys competing for the starting spot should see snaps this year. I don't think it's really a mystery in seeing that. Just a matter of, okay, maybe a guy gets 30 instead of 15, as Dave Doran said. But guess what? The next week could be flipped. Wesley Grimes could play 45 snaps and somebody else could play 20 snaps. It really comes down to matchups, and it comes down to who is competing well in practice. Luckily for NC State, there's a lot of practices between now and Western Carolina at the end of August. So we'll see what happens. But I don't really think this is like a make or break one. They do a nice competition in this room. Really, really likes wide receivers that he has. And we'll see a lot of different receivers contribute this year for sure. It's probably one of the deepest rooms on the team, just talent-wise, from top to bottom.
Dude, the way they flipped that room over the past year is just so impressive. We've talked about all those guys, and someone that Doran mentioned in the post-practice press conference, Keenan Jackson, he's someone that hasn't gotten a ton of buzz this offseason, but I thought coming out of high school, he was arguably the most college-ready out of the freshman receivers. He was like a high 3-star prospect on most recruiting services, but he put up huge numbers at Weddington High, North Carolina's 4A state champion last season. And apparently he made some good plays during practice today, kind of showed out and stepped up. So he's someone that, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's getting on the field this season. Maybe I kind of had him like written in light pencil as like a potential redshirt guy, but shoot, maybe he's not going to. Maybe he's going to carve away into the 2 deep or the 3 deep there and have some sort of role. But man, talk about iron sharpens iron. It's going to be a intense few weeks in the wide receiver room to get things figured out there. All right, those are the 3 main position battles that I think we're going to be keeping an eye on this season. So just so you guys know, for pretty much the whole practice, Noah spent the time with the defense. I spent it with the offense. Noah, was there anyone from just looking at the defensive guys that stood out to you and the limited action we got to see out of them?
Yeah, I think Donovan Kaufman, transfer safety from Auburn. He's a guy that we didn't see in the spring ball because he came after spring practice was over. But he's a guy that's impressive. He's a bigger safety. He's going to hit hard. He's just built. He's kind of looks like a linebacker that plays safety in a way. I mean, he's going to be all over the field. He can fly. He's really, really good. And I think that he impressed me the most. Just we hadn't seen him yet. Obviously, Jahad Carter was out there at nickel today. He looks really impressive too. But just Donovan Kaufman's different. And everyone's raved about him in the weight room, just calling him different, whether it's lifting and his speed. So I think that he's going to be really exciting to watch. He's obviously penciled in as a starting safety for NC State right now. Even when Devin Boykin was back, he'll be right next to him in the back end of the defense. So really impressed with him. And obviously, really good work by NC State to go out and find a guy like that. Who Dave Doran talked about the defensive backs when they added three after spring practice with him, Carter, and KJ Martin from Akron. And he talked about they were looking for Power 5 experience. They found it in all three. KJ Martin, coming from West Virginia, his first stop, he's played, knows what it takes to play this level, which was interesting because Doran, the way he talked about it, kind of signaled, okay, like they have the expectation. They're playing deep into the postseason because he said with the schedule they have, obviously the first 4 weeks are pretty big with Tennessee and Clemson. They obviously don't talk about that much, but the way he framed it was like they found guys that have played at this level already. They don't need to develop them right away because it's a lot different playing a guy who's played college football for a while to when you put him in at Death Valley at Clemson or against Tennessee under the lights. They've already been there. It's different than playing a sophomore or redshirt freshman who might have wide eyes going into that game. So really interesting to get in kind of his thinking on that. And NC State's recruiting department did really, really good at identifying three guys that could fit in, and two of them are going to start, and then the other one's going to probably be a rotational guy that plays. So good work there by NC State.
I mean, I think when they brought in these defensive transfers, people were obviously happy that they were coming in, but was also like, oh, does that mean like the younger guys aren't like ready? Are they not progressing as the staff hoped? I don't think that's necessarily the conclusion to draw from it. Like you had, Zach Myers was out there working today with the twos. I think he's someone that has promise. Tamarcus Cooley, a winter transfer, came in and apparently had a couple nice interceptions during the first day of fall camp. One of them was a really impressive grab that the football team posted on social media if you want to go see it. But he's someone that is young and is going to compete for snaps. But there's just a value in bringing guys in that have been there before. And like from a physical perspective, like you said with Donovan Kaufman, I mean, he's 5'10", but he's over 200 pounds. And looks the part at safety for sure. I thought the same with Chaz Wallace and Jahad Carter. I mean, they're adults. They've been in college strength and conditioning programs for years. They know what it takes to compete physically at this level. Like you said, man, like they're going to go and they're going to play Tennessee week 2. And when the first time they get hit by an SEC offensive lineman, it's not going to be a surprise. They know what that contact feels like, and that's going to really help. And I think it's all those guys, they're going to elevate the play of the defense this season and just kind of give a buffer to these younger guys, give them a chance that, if one of them does go in and it's like, whoa, the moment catches them off guard a little bit, you have the veteran there to stabilize things, calm everybody down. And I think today, weirdly enough, just further validated like the decision to bring those guys in, right? I think it's going to be we're going to look back on it as those spring and summer transfers as huge additions for the Pack, in my opinion. Was there anything else defensively, man? How did the linebackers look? Sean Brown's there. That's someone that people are really interested in. Going into his first season, in the box there. How do you look at Will?
Yeah, Sean Brown looked good. Pretty vocal out there too, calling out different things. During the walkthrough, they line up in different formations. The defense has to adjust. He was pretty vocal. Caden Fordham, who's going to be wearing the green dot this year. He was also pretty vocal too. He's going to have to be, the guy that sets everyone up, and he looks like he's going to fit into that role well. And so I think that those two guys look pretty good. And then Devon Betty obviously has played in this defense for a while now. He knows what to expect from him. He looks bigger though this year. I will say that. He looks like he's put on some muscle too. So overall, linebackers look good. D-line looks good. Corner, we already talked about. Secondary. Defense isn't too much of a problem. Linebackers the only unknown, but they look decent. Obviously, we saw them against and nobody on the other side of the ball, so it's kind of hard to tell sometimes. But overall, they look decent, and we'll see what happens. But I think if there is one position group that's got to have a question mark by, it's linebacker. But
Definitely.
Tony Gibson, one of the best defensive minds in college football, that's his position group to take care of. I think he'll have them ready for this early season test that they have in a few weeks.
I was thinking about it driving to the facility. I was like, I was going through just in my head, like questions I wanted to ask about, things I wanted to look for today. And it just feels so weird to be going into a season where your number one question mark is the linebacker in a Tony Gibson coach defense, where that just kind of sets the baseline of, all right, if Coach Gibson's coaching these linebackers, it kind of what you're going to get out of them, right? Like, he just has that established track record. There's a reason folks regard him as one of the best in the country at developing that position. So, yeah, it's going to – I think we will need to see steps forward from that group this year. But, we'll see what Tony Gibson can do with them over the next little less than a month here. Gosh, that's weird. Dude, we're less than a month until the season starts. Wow, that is exciting. But let's switch sides of the ball here. But before we do, I want to say a quick thank you to our sponsor, Game Time. Game Time is a ticket buying and selling platform. Whether you're looking for, hey, it's time to buy tickets to that season opener for NC State folks, or if you're looking for, I don't know, tickets to a Durham Bulls game, a concert, a comedy show, Game Time app has all of it. And it's a really easy to use app. I have it. Noah has it. We both use it. And my favorite thing about it is when I log on to the app, I go to look for a ticket. I see when I'm going and I pick out a seat, I can see the exact view that I'd be looking out onto the stadium or the arena or whatever venue from. I'll hold it up for those watching on YouTube. You can see I have NC State's season opener pulled up. And look, you can see if you bought this seat, that's what you'd see sitting in Carter Finley Stadium. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty easy. It takes a step out of the ticket buying process, which I can really appreciate. So go check it out. You can find Game Time on any app store. Just look up Game Time. Or you can find it on your web browser at gametime.co. It's not .com. That's .co. All right, Noah, let's talk about offense. We can go position by position if you want, since we basically did that for the defense. QBs, it's pretty quick. Like, Grayson McCall is what people expect Grayson McCall to be. And that is one of Grayson McCall's best abilities. He is consistent. He is going to be an accurate passer. He's not going to put the ball in harm's way. We didn't get to see him like throw one-on-ones or really any like teamwork or anything like that. But I think the biggest takeaway we can really, glean from these practices is he's a leader. I think he has done a tremendous job of taking over the leadership role in the quarterback room and really embracing that part of it. It seems like, this team is really, ready to go to bat with Grayson McCall leading the charge under center there. CJ Bailey, I thought he's bulked up. No, I think he's added some muscle, which he's going to need if he's going to be the backup quarterback this year. Lex Thomas was there, went through practice. He's healthy, so those two will battle it out for the number 2 spot. But I really like the promising freshman out of Florida. So. And he's just really talented. I mean, you watch him play, he's got a live arm. I thought watching him that maybe he had quickened his release a little bit from where he was at in high school. That's notable, I thought. That's one of the things that I kind of had circled as something that he could improve at the college level. But, by all accounts, he's a hard worker. He's, putting in the hours necessary to, be a number 2 quarterback as a true freshman after only arriving on campus in January. So that's really it. That's all I have on the quarterbacks, man. But running back wise, I mean,
you left out a very important detail though. The mullet is still growing. It's getting better by the day. So we can't forget about the mullet with Grayson McCall. Obviously, his signature tagline. He buzzed it when he got to NC State, but it's coming back. Don't worry, it'll be in full. I think he said give it like a month. So by the time they play Tennessee, I think it should be fully in full peak condition. So keep an eye out. We'll have the updates as it goes.
I'm sure we're going to talk to him plenty during fall camp. So we'll keep Mullet Watch alive and well. Let y'all know if he'll be at full strength for the season opener. Let's move and talk about the running backs. Who was the running back you were most excited to see this fall? Because I have a very clear answer for mine.
It's gonna be a guy that I think people are lost in. Like, all right, they got Jordan Waters, they got Hollywood Smothers, Kendrick Raphael. I'm really excited to see him. Number 0 now this year. And it's kind of hard when Hollywood Smothers is wearing 20. You think he's Kendrick Raphael, and you got to reprogram the brain when everyone changes their numbers. So it's gonna take me a little bit, but we'll get there by the time the game starts. But just excited to see him out there. Obviously, had a pretty good freshman year as the team's leading rusher. That was a running back on the team.
Yeah.
A couple of their leading rushers was a quarterback and a wide receiver. So obviously that won't be the case this year. We'll see running backs leading the team in rushing, which is a good thing to see. But overall, I was excited to see him, see what he could take some steps, see how his body looked. He looks good, and I'm really excited. Everyone's worried about the ones they brought in, the new toys, but the old toys coming back are pretty good too.
Kendrick's really good. He's a really good player, and I agree. He looked good. I think he's also added some weight, or at least some muscle, from what I could see. And so I think he's going to push Jordan Waters. But yeah, Jordan Waters is the guy. I mean, it's going to be a legit rotation. I don't think NC State has ever really gone full feature back in recent history. There's usually some sort of rotation, and I expect that to be true. But Waters is going to play a huge role in this offense. I think he's just going to keep the pack ahead of schedule, and he's explosive. He looks like a veteran ACC running back. Like we talked about defense, they brought in someone who's been there before, who knows what he's doing. And my expectations are high for Waters. That's all I have to say. One guy that did stand out to me, Duke Scott, someone that we've talked a lot about on this show. Just for I believe he's been on the Wolfpacker Show before when on the signing day special. But he is a true freshman running back who is already listed at 212 pounds. I saw that on the roster note, and I was like, whoa, that's heavier than most true freshman running backs are. And he looks ready to contribute. And he's someone that there's a lot of excitement around. They're deep enough with, Hollywood Kendrick and Jordan Waters and DeMarcus Jones that they're not going to probably have to play him, but they could. And he's good enough where he might make it really hard to keep him off the field this fall. Just more positive buzz about him today. And yeah, everything's just positive about the past or the present and future of NC State's running back room. Receiver, we kind of talked about with the position battles, but we focus a little more on like the flex Y guys. Justin Jolie, dude, I think it's really easy to see why everyone's excited about him. I mean, he has a tight end's body and he moves like a receiver. Like he is the mismatch nightmare that Robert and I was looking for. Juice Vereen, another guy who was bulked up, physically ready for it. He had a lot of excitement coming on the field today. I think he was fired up to be back out there, and that's going to be a fun rotation to watch as well. And one quick note with the receivers. Tank Boston, he worked with the corners in the spring. He's now with the receivers. He's working with the inside room. So someone that, could, factor into that rotation. But the main guy in that inside group that we do want to mention is Jonathan Paylor, one of the highest ranked receiver recruits in program history. I mean, I watched him a lot in high school. Like I probably evaluated him in person 5 or 6 times. And I was wondering if that speed was going to translate to the next level. I had seen him on the track. I had seen him on the football field. I had seen him score 7 touchdowns in one game. And I was just wondering, all right, let's see how this looks on the football field. I'm not just blowing sunshine here. I thought he still looked about a step faster than a lot of the guys we saw on the field today. He was back there working with the returners and stuff. He's someone that I could definitely see factoring into that competition for kick returner. But I think he'll end up as the backup, inside receiver behind KC. There's been positive buzz around KC this offseason, Noah. What are you expecting from him this offseason, and how did he look today to you?
He looked good. He looks a little bit bigger. They want to play him between 190 and 195. He played between 185 and 188 last year, so a little bit more muscle on him, make him go faster. He's going faster. Everyone that's seen him run and seen him in drills and stuff, looks good. He was really loose today. during, kind of funny moment during, stretching, he left the stretching line to go mess with the iPad to go figure out what he wanted on the playlist. So you know where he's at. He then kind of joked around with Tony Gibson, was like, if you need a lockdown corner, I know a guy. He kind of was lobbying to play on defense too. He's not going to. Breaking news, everybody. He's not going to play on defense. But overall, yeah, he looks really good. I think this is a big year for him. He had a big freshman year, and to keep it going would be really massive for him, and obviously what is down the road for him professionally, but it also for NC State. They need him to have a good year, and if he can build on what he did last year, Ethan, watch out. This is a guy that really should be in the conversation for ACC Player of the Year if he can build off what he did a year ago.
Yeah, and he's physically ready for it. He put in the work in the weight room by all accounts this offseason, and he is ready for just durability challenges that a long college football season presents when you're the focal point of an offense, like he has been, and will continue to be. All right, let's wrap up with some O-line talk. My big takeaway was just that Zeke Correll's back and healthy. He went through drills and everything, and looked good. He's someone that we both had him on our All-ACC preseason ballot. So, expectations are high for him as well. I think he's going to come in and continue, that tradition, that standard. At the tackle spots, Anthony Belton is still massive and still continues to shock me with just how quickly he moves. It's easy to see why he has first-round pick buzz coming into this year. And Tim McKay's back at right guard, and then you have Ja'Karius Peak at right tackle, who I thought was, quite frankly, dominant down the stretch of last season. I thought he was really, really good. So, they're bringing back those starters. We already talked about the competition at left guard. I know backup center was a big question mark for folks, so did want to note Dawson Jaramillo, the Oregon transfer who missed last season due to injury. He was working at backup center. Again, that could change. Rylan Van was there for most of the spring, so I'm sure that'll be a competition. Sean Hill has also factored into the mix at center. He was working at a backup guard spot today. But, that you're looking for that jump from the O-line, and the biggest thing we can say at this stage is just there's continuity there. They're going to be able to hit the ground running as a unit. And Zeke Correll was taking a big role as a vocal leader. That also stood out to me. All right, Noah, unless we missed anything, unless you have anything else to hit on before we get out of here, I think that's the show, folks. Again, just super psyched to be, starting the journey of covering another football season for NC State. This is going to be Noah and I's first full season covering the Pack together. So we're looking forward to it. Excited to bring you just comprehensive coverage over on the Wolfpacker.com. Stay tuned. We're going to have plenty of preview episodes of the show leading up to football season, and we're looking forward to it. We'll see you then, and thanks for watching, folks.